part of the expectations in the curriculum is, we need to teach you how to be a good mentee. I think that's half of the game. I guess my pointers for mentees would be available. I think when you're clinical, in the clinical phases, there's no expectation you're going to kind of like answer emails. But when you're doing research, then you need to respond to opportunities. Two is you got to hop on the excellence train. Like there's so many opportunities, and you just need to be kind of quote a joiner and take advantage of them when they come along. And then three, I think it comes down to kind of being a good steward of the culture of the place. So you have to take advantage of all of the opportunities. So, for example, I've learned so much from all these folks on this call around the expectations and cultural norms of our department that change, every year on year. And as a mentee, you have to be up to date as to what the cultural expectations are of our department. I guess those are my 3 pointers, but others will have a better answer, I'm sure.
Dr. Kwachi, what are some of your ideas?
I personally agree with Dr. Englesbe. I think what is also cool, and it's so interesting you should bring that up, Dr. Sanju, because I have my mentoring guide here, which is a lot of the stuff. This is by Dr. Chopra, Dr. Vaughn, and Dr. Saint. And if any of our students want to go out and get this book, I highly recommend it. It's called the Mentoring Guide. But it goes through like how to be an awesome mentee, how to identify the right mentors. I think one of the questions we had in the chat is, how do you go about doing this? And this is a formal and informal process. And a lot of what we've talked about has been formal processes, but there's also a lot on how do you succeed as a mentee, but also identify when you're doing things not the right way or not paired with the right mentor. And one thing, a couple of things they talk about is communicating, taking some responsibility on your own, sort of doing the hard work of trying to identify who you are and what your why is. And I think some of that work has to be done early on and revised over time. But they also focus on, not taking on too much. So there's this whole thing they talk about being an overcommitter. And so you commit too much, and then it's like not knowing how to say no to certain opportunities. And I think that's where the launch teams are very, very great. I'm on one residence launch team, and we are all about no. Let's cut back a little bit. But there's also stuff about ghosting, where you sort of avoid your mentors or your mentoring team or different, probably because you've overcommitted to stuff. But there's a lot in this book which goes into it. But knowing the culture, like Dr. Englesbe said, doing well, communicating and asking those tough questions you're doing right now, being curious and trying to stay engaged is very important.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything from the learner perspective, Dr. Valbuena?
Yes, so there's a caveat to my answer, and is that I am a current mentee, as maybe most of the people in the call are. And so when Dr. Kwach is actually one of my mentors. And so there is this lack of linearity to the process in which you're never not necessarily in that hot seat. Like there's always someone to answer to. And there's a lot of learning on how to manage when mentorship and development and doing things and producing knowledge is such an important part of what you do. It's not something that you're going to fall onto and then just like be 100%, you're like the best mentee. So we actually do a lot of training around this just to learn the book. And we also have like sessions, like whole like curriculums around trying to teach people, every single person how to be a good mentor, but also how to be a good mentee. And this is for every single person in our department. They're playing this dual role. I do it with my students. I have over like 7 or 8 students that I'm like directly mentoring. And so being able to switch and then seeing like the things that my students are doing and reflecting it on how I am doing. So I have done all of the terrible sins that Dr. Kwache has listed. I've ghosted, I have disappeared, I have like pushed things off, and then like being able to learn from that and have a team of people point it out to you so that then you can like relay that knowledge down to your students and create this kind of lineage of mentorship is very important. And something that I think that now that I have kind of dedicated time to think about, I'm really thankful for being in a setting in which, not ghosting your mentor is not like, oh my God, you shall be shunned from academic development. It's like an expected behavior that will be like, you will learn about, and then you will correct, and then you will teach somebody else about.